house guests. Welcome to today's Big Brother 22 updates and spoilers. Woo! Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Our house guests of the day are Linda Ford and Catherine Benton. Thank you both so much for the support. We could not do this without you, and we appreciate it so much. And if you guys want to be house guests of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. All right. Before I get into yesterday's super chatters, I just want to let you guys know that we are in some major storms right now, and I'm hoping we don't lose power during this because that would be a real bummer. So yeah, if the stream stops unexpectedly, it's probably because we've lost power. So fingers crossed that that doesn't happen. Ah, there you go. Do you guys hear the thunder? I don't know if the microphone is picking that up, but I just feel like this storm is like the Big Brother gods mourning the loss of Janelle or Kaysar in this game. It's so sad. Okay, but anyway, I see we've already got some super chatters today, so thank you so much. I'll shout you guys out at the end. But first, before we get going here, I want to shout out yesterday's super chatters. So we've got a pretty long list here, so bear with me, but we've got Rachel McClung, Jefferson Tucker, Brant Phillips, Andrea Stallone, Sean Graham, Julie Smith and Nene, Mark Marshall, Haley Milne, Brant Phillips again, Evelyn Basham, Jody Cortez, Andy W., Jared Harper, The Charity 123, I always mess this up. This always makes me stumble. Traval K, Brant Phillips, Thrifty Babes, S. Dean, Brady Mathiasen, Patty Kitten, Guru, Isaac Songquist, Jewel Baby, Jessica Noe, M. Marie COJ, and Michelle Noel Creations. Thank you all so much. Yes, you're amazing, and we really could not do this without you, so thank you. All right, so we have a lot to discuss before tonight's live eviction. So when we left off yesterday, of course, Janelle and Kaysar are up on the block. Both are campaigning. Janelle a bit harder than Kaysar. It's not looking great for Janelle, you guys. Not looking great. In other news, David has been blowing up his own game, other people's games. It's a whole mess. So if you guys missed yesterday's spoiler, you'll definitely want to check that out and get all the details on David's disaster. But just like a brief thing, he ended up telling Day that he'd heard from Janelle, Tyler, and Cody that she was trying to flip the votes on him last week to keep Nicole. And Tyler and Cody did say this to David. I know that for a fact. Janelle, I don't recall saying that. I mean, it's possible, but I haven't seen it or heard it with my own ears. So yeah. But that is a thing that happened via Tyler and Cody. So, of course, Day was upset about that. She checked in with Tyler and Cody and Janelle, and they were like, what? So Tyler and Cody were able to smooth things over with Day, and now David just looks like a disaster. So let's jump into it. Tyler and David were up in the HOH room. They're talking about the situation with Day. And let's just keep in mind here, David does not even know that Tyler is working with Day and Bailey. So, like, there's a whole extra layer here that David is not even understanding. He doesn't realize how much he screwed over Tyler by saying that Tyler told David this information. So Tyler's like, I just want you to know, when I was talking to Day and kind of like smoothing things over, I did not throw you back under the bus. I mean, not really. He was kind of just like, what is wrong with David? But Cody really did. We'll get to that later. So Tyler says, Day probably trusts you more now than she did before. I don't think so. And he's like, yeah, I told her that Kaysar was campaigning for Nicole last week and telling people that Day was one of the votes to keep Nicole. Like, he was counting her in the vote count for Nicole to stay, and that's where that whole thing came from, and that you just like twisted the words around. So then Tyler's saying, like, I'm not even sure if it's true that Day was campaigning against you. And he says that's what he heard from other people, meaning Dani and Nicole. This all goes back to Dani telling Tyler and Cody. Okay, so then Tyler has his own explanation for what happened. He says that Day and Bailey are close to Janelle and probably working with her. And last week they were probably just like testing out the battlefield to see if the numbers were there to keep Unicole. But they weren't necessarily leading the charge for her to stay and for David to go. So Tyler says, Day fact checking with me shows that she does not trust you. And that's a little bit weird because just before he was saying that Day probably trusts David more now than she did before. So what? It's a little bit contradictory. But Tyler says she probably doesn't trust me anymore either. She's never going to trust Cody. Tyler's all over the place in this conversation. I think he's feeling a little sloppy at this point. So he's wondering, what do I do now? How do I handle this with Day? Do I get Day out before she gets me? What do I do? And of course, David's like, I don't know. David doesn't know what's going on. So David tells Tyler, you're the only person at this point that I feel like I can speak freely with now. I'm not in a great place with Day and Bailey, so you're my guy. So then Tyler's asking David, just to make sure, you did not tell Day that I got the information from Dani and Nicole, right? Because that would really screw me up. And David confirms, no, I didn't mention Dani or Nicole when I talked to Day, which is true. He did not mention them. Okay. So Tyler is still trying to figure out how this whole thing happened in the first place because David told him that he was cornered by Day and Bailey and they forced it out of him. But Tyler's like, that just doesn't make sense. You must have brought it up first and then they asked you for names of who said that. That is what happened. Yes. So good job to Tyler Holmes. So then David says he felt obligated in a way to tell Day and Bailey what was going on. He was really enthusiastic about working with other African Americans. And he says he doesn't know now how he's going to repair things with Day. He also brings up that Day has been saying she doesn't like that David didn't defend Kemi last season, which leads to a feed switch. Let us hear about last season. Oh my God. But when the feeds come back, David is still talking about how he feels like there's a lot of pressure on him because he wants to do well. He wants to play the game the right way, but he also feels like he's representing the whole African-American community that watches the show. So it's a lot of different layers to this. And Tyler's telling him, look, you can't let all this outside stuff affect your game because you're going to go crazy trying to check off every box. So you just got to do your best in here. So Tyler's telling David, we can still work together. We can move on from this, but we've got to act like we're dead to each other. Meaning, David, if you win HOH, don't put me up, but I'm not going to look out for you. Okay. So then Tyler continues to talk to people and smooth things over. So he was talking to Bailey in the lounge and Bailey was like, yeah, yesterday I had to be a mediator for Day and David. And she says David just had a freaking meltdown during their conversation. He just spilled the beans about the rumors that Day was trying to flip the vote. So Tyler's like, yeah, I just told David that he should probably check on Day's vote last week because of what Kaysar was saying when he was campaigning for Unicole. Sure, Tyler, that's what you said. So Tyler is saying, I'm worried that everything that I've been working on with Day is ruined now. So that's not great. And Bailey is like, no, it'll be fine as long as everything checks out. And I'm going to just let you guys know now, things are checking out for Davon and Bailey with Tyler and Cody. They seem to be trusting what these guys are saying. They're believing Tyler and Cody's explanations of what happened. They think that David is losing it. So Bailey also brings up something that David said. She was like, I really didn't like it when David said, okay, well, if you want to use that against me and get me out next week, go ahead. she didn't like that. That's not how you play this game. So Bailey said there's no trust now between Day and David. It's a mess. So it was interesting because David came in during this conversation when they were talking about him, and he was talking about how he's like sick of the bullshit. I mean, he was joking around. He wasn't like angry or anything, but he's sick of the bullshit and he's gonna like start banging pots and pans. Don't worry, he was just kidding. Okay, so then after David leaves the room again, Tyler is talking about how their group cannot cannibalize itself. We got to focus on taking out people outside of our group. You know, we can't let little things tear us apart. So Tyler brings up to Bailey, hey, remember when we were on season 20 together and I was in that like great alliance that made it to the end and you were in the crappy one, Faute / the Hive, which was a mess? Yeah, your group fell apart because we would feed little bits of information to you guys and it tore you all apart. And Bailey's like, I remember. So yeah, Bailey says she's going to help Tyler make sure things are good with Day. Okay, so then Janelle and Kaysar continue on the campaign trail. Kaysar was talking to Dani in the photo bedroom. I just want to mention before this, Dani was crabbing to Nicole how rude it was that Kaysar didn't campaign to her yet. How rude. Okay, so then Dani is asking Kaysar, what is your plan moving forward if you stay? And Kaysar says, at this point, he just feels really alone. So he needs to make some friends. That is his number one goal right now. He says he's all about survival. He's not trying to be a hero. He's just trying to blend in and be on people's good side. Sounds legit. I'm not going to go after you. I have no reason to ever. Okay, Dani. Really? So I gotta say, as much as I crap on Dani in this game, like, she is a very good villain for TV. Like, she's killing the villain game. She's a worthy adversary, right? Like, she is a legit villain. And I say that with respect. Like, she kills me watching her play, but, like, she's a very good villain. So Dani says, Kaysar says to Dani, whenever I hear your name come up, it's always like a positive thing. So he tells her, I have a lot of respect for you. You're easy to work with. You're easy to talk to. Mm-hmm. And then Kaysar's asking Dani about her vote. Like, what are you thinking for this week? And Dani says, I'm up in the air right now, but I feel like the house is leaning towards keeping you, and I'll have your back if you stay. No. Dani is definitely targeting Kaysar. Let's be real. So meanwhile, we've got Janelle talking to Tyler in the lounge. And at this point, people are giving her the runaround. They're saying, oh, I need to wait and see what the house wants to do. So not Dani, I'm such a mess. So Janelle is talking to Tyler because, okay, he doesn't have a vote this week, but she figures Tyler's the HOH. You know, he could have some sway this week, and if he says that he wants me to stay, then other people might follow suit. So Janelle tells Tyler, like, I just need you to give people the slightest nudge, and then hopefully they'll want to keep me too. So she offers Tyler a deal. She says, Tyler, if I win HOH, you're not going to see the block 100%. Like, you're going to be good with me. She says, I would love to work with you if what you're saying is true and you're actually alone and not already working with the whole entire house. He's working with the whole entire house. So Tyler asks Janelle, who are you targeting? And Janelle says, I want to play like I played the first All-Star season. I would want to get floaters out. And she says, we'll take out all the floaters, and then when we get to the final 8, then it's a real game. She says floaters just disgust her. She hates that style of gameplay. She says this is All-Stars. It'd be really great to see all of the heavy hitters make it to the end, and then they can just, like, duke it out. She says she doesn't want it to be a blowout and have, like, all the weak players left at the end, like the people that didn't make it so far in their first seasons, David, and people that are not there for the right reasons. So, you know, people that are just there for Instagram followers and stuff like that. So then they started talking about Dani, and Tyler's like, well, what is Dani saying? Does she want you to stay? And Janelle says, I think she does. I mean, Dani has been telling Janelle, like, yeah, I want you to stay, like, if you can get all the votes. But she doesn't actually. So Janelle says, yeah, Dani, I think she wants me to stay out of just respect as a player. She says, I've known Dani for 13 years. I'm friends with her dad. I don't think being friends with Dani's dad is good in Dani's eyes. So I don't think that's a good argument there. But anyway, Tyler says he will talk to Dani and find out what she's really thinking about this vote. So not long after this conversation, Tyler does go and talk to Dani in the HOH room. And first they're talking about the David drama, of course. That was a big topic of conversation yesterday for everyone. So Tyler says, yeah, when I was talking to Day, I told her exactly what actually happened. No, he didn't. He told her that lie about how Kaysar was campaigning for Unicole and saying that he had Day's vote, and then Tyler was just telling David to check on her vote. No, that is what he told Day, but that's not what actually happened. So now he's lying to Dani too, and I think it's because he doesn't want her to know that he passed along information that she gave to him to David. So Dani's like, yeah, well, Day is really pissed at David now. And Dani's kind of like, wait a second. You told him that Day was trying to flip though, right? And Tyler says, yeah, like, you're the one who told me that. And Dani says, yeah, but I didn't know that you were going to tell him. Oops. Out comes the information that Tyler was trying to hide from Dani. So Tyler's like, don't worry, I didn't mention your name in any of this to David. Yes, he did. He totally did. So he says he told David that the information came from Kaysar. That's a lie. That's the story that he came up with David, but that's a lie. Okay, so they agree that David is one of the worst players that they've ever seen. Moving on. They talk about Janelle's campaigning, and Dani, she's been complaining about this. She complains that Janelle keeps coming up to her multiple times a day to campaign. You know, God forbid somebody on the block tries to save their game. But I can't wait until Dani is finally up on the block, and we'll see how she campaigns. You know, is she just going to like sit back and let it happen? I doubt it. So Tyler says, we definitely want Janelle to go this week, right? And Dani says, hell yeah. She just doesn't know what to say to Janelle at this point. She feels genuinely bad, or so she says, that Janelle is going to be leaving, and she just doesn't want to say anything yet. She doesn't know what to tell her. I mean, you could be honest. That is an option. You could just say, like, I'm sorry, but you got to go. You got to get out of here. So Tyler says, yeah, also, like, this is not the best move for my game personally. He says, I'm going to be moving up on this target list after Janelle goes. And at first, Dani's like, no, what? You're fine. But then she does admit, like, ooh, yeah, that's somewhat true. Like, you're going to be moving up a bit. But she says, we have your back. Come on. So she says, also, Janelle is coming after them. She's coming after me, you, Cody, Nicole. So that's why this is your best move. All right. So Dani says, at this point, they just really need somebody else to get caught in something, to like say something stupid and have that person become the next target. And Tyler says, that's what David's doing right now. He's a mess. So then they also talk about how they feel like Day is doing too much. You know, she's going around spreading around lies, and they don't like that. So Tyler says, this alliance is shit. It's garbage. We should have just stuck with the three of us, me, you, and Cody. Blech. No thanks. All right. So Tyler asks, should we target Day now before she can make a move against us, or do we take out David and just try and like weaken Dave on? So Dani says that Day is more dangerous. She's already let's try that again. She's always spreading stuff around and people listen to her. people believe what she says, and they feel like that's really dangerous. So Dani says, we've already caught Day in a lie. When she tried to say that Tyler approached her to start an alliance, they figured out that that was not true. And they know that Day is skeptical about them. She does not fully trust them, even though they're supposed to be in an alliance together. So Dani says that Nicole would rather see Bailey go between Bailey and Davon. But Dani really feels like if you're going to go after one of them, you need to put Day and Bailey up on the block together. And that's not going to be something that Nicole would be willing to do, because Nicole this season is trying to be like, I'm cool with Day. So like she doesn't want to go against her at all or be the one to take her out. So that's going to be an issue that Dani is looking to work on. So Dani, I mean, as much as she wants like Day and Bailey to go, she's saying that Kaysar should go first, because she's worried that there's going to be some sort of twist that will bring Janelle back into the house. And then she's worried about Janelle and Kaysar being reunited again. She's like, we're back to square one if that happens. So she doesn't want that to happen. So she says, that being said, Day still needs to go before jury starts, because if we're like someone from our group are the ones to take Day out, she's not going to vote for any of us in the end. So we got to get rid of her before the jury. Ugh. So Tyler says he doesn't think that Bailey would vote for one of them either in the same situation. He says, trust me. Remember in season 20 when Bailey didn't vote for Tyler to win? That was crazy. So, I mean, it wasn't like unbelievable that she wouldn't want, like, of course she's not going to want to vote for Tyler. What? Okay, so anyway, you guys know what I'm saying? They were talking about how they want like Ian or Christmas to win HOH to do their dirty work. And Dani says it would be awesome if Christmas would win because she'll do what they want. And it's also going to put a bigger target on Christmas. And that's something that they're going to need down the line, because right now Christmas is in a really good spot for the most part. All right. So Dani says if she wins HOH, she would put up Kaysar and David. It would just be like the easy option for her. So Tyler's like, yeah, but you know that you should not win HOH next week. That's not the best move for you. Yeah, I mean, Dani, I don't think she wants to win this HOH. I think she wants to continue to fly under the radar right now. She doesn't want to show her cards at this point. So she is perfectly fine with just sitting back and like puppet mastering. All right, so a little later, Day is talking to Kevin about the David situation. Ooh. So she's really pissed that David is going around saying to people like, I'm so alone now. I feel like I don't have anybody to talk to. So she's like, David is acting like the victim when he started all this. Day is pissed at David right now because she talked to Cody and Cody was like, oh, David's full of shit. And he said that David came to him and dropped that Davon is paranoid about a guy's alliance. So Day was not happy to hear that. So Day is like, I should have freaking told Cody that I was paranoid about a guy's alliance because David told me that there is one, which is true. Remember when David was campaigning, when he was up on the block and Day was like, I'm hearing rumors that you're in some sort of a guy's alliance. Are you? And David was like, yeah. And that was before anything was even like established with the guys. So that was weird. But anyway, Day is like, for some reason, I still did not throw David under the bus. Right? All right. So Day is just wondering, like, why would David tell Cody that I'm worried about a guy's alliance when I'm trying to help David? She's like, I've done nothing but try and help him. So I don't get it. She's pissed at David. She says he's an idiot. And Day says, if I win HOH, and she doesn't really finish that thought, but it sounds like she's implying she would put David up and maybe like even target him. Damn. Imagine like being Unicole watching the rest of the season. Imagine Day wins HOH and takes out David when Day didn't even want to like vote David out and help Unicole out. Ooh, okay, well, anyway, the crazy thing here is that Tyler and Cody did, in fact, throw Day under the bus to David, and they're just gonna, like, get away with this. David is the one coming out of this looking like crap, so that's wild. But Kevin says to Devon, by the way, I don't think Janelle has a chance to stay this week. It's not looking like the votes are coming together. And Day is disappointed to hear this. She says, I need Janelle to stay so bad for my game, but I can't be the one pushing it. It also seems like Kevin wants Janelle to stay, which is really interesting considering how much crap he's talked about her. He's talked crap about Kaysar too, though. So I guess he just realizes that Janelle would be better for him, like at least on a game level. But it's interesting because Janelle has also said that she wants to take Kevin out, but here he is wanting her to stay. Okay, so anyway, there was a meeting of the Carolinas. That would be Tyler and Christmas. They were having a strategy chat in the HOH room. Christmas is planning for like a potential double eviction for tonight. What? Yeah. Anyway, she says if it's a double, what are they gonna do? And Tyler's like, well, I like the idea that you had earlier of nominating Devon and Bailey next to each other. No. So Christmas is like, yeah, if you put up one, the other one's gonna be furious. So you should probably just put both of them up on the block. You don't want to take a shot and miss. So just put both of them up, guarantee that one of them is gonna go. Also, like if you only put up one, the other one can win the veto, and then they're both gonna be safe. But I don't think they mentioned that. But anyway, Tyler says out of the two of them, he would rather have Bailey stay than Devon. She's more straight up. He feels like he can trust her more. Also, like, I'm sure Tyler is thinking, I don't want Twitter to, like, hate me, so I'm going to work with Bailey. This is something that we've heard him talk about already this season. But they agree that Memphis cannot win HOH. They're working with Memphis, but Memphis has said if he wins, he's going to put up Kevin and David. And that just does nothing for Christmas and Tyler. They're like, what's the point of that? This is stupid. Like, we don't need Memphis winning HOH this week. So from what it sounds like, it seems like Kaysar could potentially slip under the radar next week and maybe like stick around for a while. I mean, he still has people that are like, Kaysar needs to go immediately. Like Danny's saying that. Cody's saying that. I think Enzo is kind of saying that. But there are plenty of people who, if they win, they're not going to be targeting Kaysar. So he could stick around for a while. But anyway, Christmas also considers, maybe I'll put up Kaysar and Day. But she's saying that Kaysar would be the pawn. And they're just going to pretend that he's the target so that, like, Day wouldn't freak out. And Tyler's like, I don't know about that one, because if you put up Kaysar and Day, you're going to make 3 people mad. Because even though Bailey's not up on the block, she's going to be mad that you put Devon up. But if you put up Day and Bailey, you're only going to make 2 people mad. So it seems like Tyler is pushing for Day and Bailey to go up on the block. Ouch. All right. So Cody and Enzo were in the have-not room later. They're talking about all the David stuff, Cody is filling Enzo in on all this, and Enzo's like, what's wrong with him, yo? It's always yo, and like, that's it. That's all. That's it. So then this is interesting. The conversation takes a turn, and they start talking about Dani. What? Okay. So Enzo brings up this situation. They were talking about who is going to be a have-not this coming week, because they've been doing the thing this season where the last have-nots get to pick the new ones. So Enzo says that Dani is starting some drama here, because Dani went to Day and told her that Enzo wants to pick Day to be a have-not. And Enzo's like, that's not what happened. Why is she starting to cause this drama? Why is she trying to cause this drama? We're going to come back to that in a second. But Cody's like, what? And he says Dani was also the one that said Day was trying to flip the vote last week. She started all that drama. And he's talking about how Dani and Nicole woke him up to tell him that Day was trying to flip the vote last week. And it was like kind of sketchy, and like he didn't know what was going on. So Enzo's like, I'm going to backdoor Dani for real. So then Enzo is explaining how Dani has been saying she doesn't want to be a have-not, like, don't pick me, don't pick me. So she was telling Enzo, you should pick Devon instead. So then Dani went to Day and told her, hey, Enzo said he was going to pick you to be a have-not. So Enzo's like, what the crap? What is that bullshit? So Enzo says to Cody, you got to watch Dani. She's like Janelle. She is good. She says stuff to you, and then she goes around telling other people that you're the one who said it. So Cody says, yeah, Day and Dani both do that. Bailey does not. Bailey is more straight up. So Enzo says Dani's gonna have to go soon. She knows too much about their games, and he says right now it's too early, but she's gonna have to go in like 2 to 3 weeks. Do it now. Do it now. So Enzo is telling Cody, you're my guy to the end. I'm good with us bringing in Tyler, but like this is my alliance. Everybody else that we're working with, I'm just using them. Like, you are my alliance. That's it. I freaking love when Enzo says, that's it. It's so funny. But anyway, Enzo was talking about how he wants to use the girls to go after each other. He's said this many, many times, but now he's really feeling it now that he's realizing what Dani's been doing as well. So Cody says that he's going to be going for this next HOH. He wants that win. He says he would nominate Kaysar and David. Kaysar's the target, but like if Kaysar wins HOH or wins the power veto, he's fine with David going because David has sealed his fate with Cody. Whoa. So Enzo is saying he would like to see Dani win this HOH and get her hands dirty. She's just sneaking around behind the scenes. He wants her to take some of the responsibility here. So then they were talking about how they're annoyed that Nicole has been saying she's not going to go after Devon at any point. Like, she's not going to be the one to do it. She has been working on her relationship with her after she was a dick in season 18 today. And she says, I'm not going to mess with that. So they're like, what the hell? Enzo says this is why it's stupid for them to get rid of Janelle. Dani and Nicole both want Janelle out because they think that she will target them. And if they keep Janelle around, she'll go after them and they'll go after Janelle. So that's like an ideal situation in Enzo's eyes. So Cody says, well, we can't keep Janelle because Nicole will take it personally. It's always got to be, everybody tiptoeing around Nicole's feelings. So Enzo says that Bailey is his girl. He loves her. He says that Bailey is going to be his pit bull to go after Nicole and Dani. He's going to fill her with like all this information about them to make sure she wants to take them out. Okay, so then Tyler joins them. He crawls into the have-not room. It's always funny when somebody comes in and they just like crawl in. So they talk again about David making rookie mistakes. Yeah, that's what happens when you put a rookie on an all-star season. We see that. So Cody says this whole situation stems from Dani because again, Dani is the one that told them that Day was trying to flip the vote last week. So then there's more talk about how hard Dani is playing. She's planting seeds everywhere. Did they watch last night's episode with Dani's like planting seeds segment? Oh my God. It's so crazy that segment just aired last night. And then like a little while later that same night, everybody's like, oh my God, I know what Dani's doing. It's crazy. But anyway, they're onto her and they're going to be watching her. So that should be fun. All right. So changing gears a little bit. We've got Day and David chatting in the lounge. They're not in a good place right now. So Day says, all right, David, I want you to thoroughly enjoy your experience in here. I know you didn't have a good time last year. I want you to enjoy it all. I want you to enjoy the ups, the downs, the stress, all of it. So she says, I really wanted to be aligned with you because I know how smart you are after watching you on last season. She says, I don't know where down the line I did something to you, like to make you upset with me. I fought really hard for you last week. I put my game on the line. And she says, I think I could bite the bullet and just like move on if I knew that I actually did something to you. But I genuinely don't know what I did other than have your back. So she says, I don't think it would be wise for my game or yours for us to have this like toxic alliance. It's just weird. So Day says she apologizes from the bottom of her heart if she did anything wrong to David. And after all of that, David just goes, okay. What? Is he the freaking Pete Davidson character from SNL? Okay. So Day says, I don't think of you as an enemy. I don't know. Like, it kind of seems like she's starting to think of him as an enemy. But David says, all right, well, I'm not making moves against you either. But honestly, I don't see myself lasting much longer in here with how the dynamics have changed recently. You mean how you blew your own shit up? So he tells her it's all good. Okay. Yeah, they're not in a good place right now. So moving on, Dani is up to her usual tricks. She was talking to Cody in the photo bedroom last night, and Dani was like, do you like to play a little risky, or do you like to play more safe in this game? So Dani asks Cody, what do you think about the two of us voting for Janelle to stay to set up other people? And Cody's like, who would we set up? Like, what, Day and Bailey? And Dani's like, and Cody says, nah, no shot. Woo! So Cody says, no, people wouldn't believe that it was Day and Bailey. Like, it's going to come across as, you know, other people trying to set them up. It's not going to work out. So Dani's like, come on, think about it. She's disappointed. And Cody's like, no. Okay, so Dani says, well, I already convinced Christmas to put up Bailey and Davon if she wins HOH. Okay, so then Janelle pulls Cody away to campaign, and she says everyone is telling her that they will keep her if she has the other votes. So they're, again, just giving her the runaround, and she wants solid answers at this point. Like, it is getting late, okay? The eviction is coming up. So she says everyone else is waiting for someone else to step up and say what they're going to do. So she's asking Cody, will you be that person that stands up and says that you're going to keep me? And Cody's like, I can't do that. He will not give her a straight answer. You know what? If you're going to vote out Janelle, fine, whatever. But, like, tell people what you're doing. I mean, it's the night before. It's not like it's, like, a week before. So Kaysar also talks to Cody. And, again, Cody's like, I don't want to be the first one to say what I'm doing. I'm happy to vote for you if that's what everyone else is doing. So just freaking tell them already. Oh my God. All right. Janelle and Kaysar also both talked to Enzo. Of course, no answers. Just Enzo being like, I like you. I really like you. All right. So then later, Enzo and Bailey talk about the vote in the have not room. Ooh. So they both agree they want to keep Janelle. They feel like she's good for both of their games, but they're not sure the votes are actually there. So Enzo says, you know, Janelle would go after people that we're not associated with. Sure, Enzo. Enzo's associated with everyone. And he says those people will go after Janelle. What Enzo is saying is, I want to keep Janelle around to go after people that I'm working with that I can't go after myself. So Enzo says he just doesn't see Cody or Dani flipping their votes to keep Janelle. It's just not going to happen. So then Enzo is telling Bailey all about the Dani and Day have not situation. And he's like, we got to watch out for Dani. She's really sneaky. But he says right now we should stay with the Slick Six. We'll work with them. We'll get things going. And then down the line, Bailey says we'll connect, because that's the name of their four-person alliance. Bailey, Enzo, Day, and Cody. So she threw that little connect reference in there. All right. So then after, Bailey tells Janelle about the conversation, and Janelle's like, ooh, Enzo wants to keep me, and Cody's like a maybe. But she's disappointed to find out that Enzo doesn't seem to think that Dani would vote to keep her. And she's kind of like, what's going on here? Because Dani told me that she wants me to stay, but she could be lying. She is. She's lying. All right. So then the have-nots had their feast at midnight. Yay. Okay. And then later, back to the important stuff. Later, Day and Bailey are in the lounge. And first, Bailey's sharing how Enzo was saying that he wished they could keep Janelle. And Cody pretty much said the same thing. So Day says they're not going to do it because of Nicole F. They do not want to go against her. They don't want to upset her. So Bailey says, okay, but they keep saying that Nicole and Ian have to be split up. So who do they think is going to do it? You know, Janelle would do that. So then they'll come back to that. But they're talking about nominations for next week, and they're not really sure what they're going to do. But Day is trying to come up with some sort of plan that will make their allies choose what side they're really on. It's going to make them show their cards. So she's trying to figure that out. But Bailey says Janelle told Kaysar that he should put up Nicole and Dani. Ooh, they like that. And Day says, yeah, if the power veto is used, then Christmas could go up because she's too comfortable right now. I don't think that Kaysar would put Christmas up on the block, though, because they're pretty tight. But anyway, Day says she cannot be the one to make that move. Like, maybe Kaysar could do something like that, putting up Nicole and Dani, but she is not in a position where she feels like she can do that. Bailey is not really sure what she would do either. She was saying originally she was planning on putting up Ian and Nicole and splitting them, but now she's not sure that she wants to put Ian up on the block. She's not really sure either who would be safe against Nicole. She wants to make sure if she's putting Nicole up, she's going to go. So, yeah. Then they decide, you know what? We need to pull Cody and Enzo in here. We need to have a connect meeting to nail down these votes and see if it is possible for us to save Janelle this week. So they bring in Cody and Enzo, and Bailey says, all right, we're still a little bit torn about what we're going to do here. We need stirring up, and we're not sure that Kaysar is going to be the one to do that. So Enzo says, all right, I do want to keep Janelle, but I don't want to blow up the Slick Six. He says doing that would ruin that alliance. Tyler wants Janelle to go. Dani wants Janelle to go. They don't want to upset them. Cody says, again, it's also going to feel like a personal attack to Nicole if they keep Janelle. So Bailey's like, okay, no offense, but like, why do we care what Nicole thinks? She's not in our alliance. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, Bailey, ask yourself that question again. Why would Enzo and Cody care so much what Nicole thinks? Because they're working with her. So Cody's like, well, we don't want to alarm people that we've got a group going. If we like all vote together and it's like split vote, like people are going to realize, they're going to know. So yeah, they talk about it a little longer, but what you need to know here is they are not flipping this vote. So today, Cody freaking spills to Dani. He tells her, oh, Bay and Davon were feeling out the vote last night. They were talking about potentially keeping Janelle. So he's like, I told them that we couldn't keep her because it would upset Nicole. So then Dani's like, okay, well, I was thinking about it. And if Bailey and Day go up on the block next week, I would rather see Bailey go. How nice for you. All right. So in other news, oh my God, Dani and Nicole were both talking about their freaking goodbye messages that they recorded for Janelle. And apparently they both did nasty ones. So we already knew that Nicole was going to like disinvite Janelle from her wedding in her goodbye message. Apparently she went through with that. And then I think later she was saying that she was like trying to change it and do a different one, but I don't know if Big Brother let her do that. And then Dani said hers, she started out with like some compliments for Janelle. And then she said, it would have been nice to work with you, but don't worry. Kaysar is coming out soon. Bye, bitches. So here, okay. If you guys are not familiar with Janelle, like one of her catchphrases, she said, bye, bitches. So Dani is like, oh, it's an homage to Janelle. Like, it's going to be funny. But she was also saying that she told production, like, if this doesn't go well on social media, tell Dom to, like, delete all of my social media accounts. I don't think it's gonna go over well. And I don't think like most of the shit you've been doing so far is going over well. Ooh, it's just gonna read as Janelle. That's what it looks like to me. Like she didn't even get the catchphrase right. It's 2 buys. It's bye bye bitches, but whatever. So yeah, expect some claws tonight in those goodbye messages. All right. So yeah, it's eviction night. Janelle will be leaving unless something insane happens. Hello.
Oh, hello.
It's very sad, but I am happy that we at least got to see Janelle and Kaysar together again on the feeds. That's been a really nice treat. Yeah, so that's where we're at. But I want to know from you guys, who do you want to win the next HOH? There could be a lot of potential targets next week. So it's going to be interesting to see who wins this. It's not like last week where, you know, Janelle and Kaysar were going up with anyone winning besides themselves. So, yeah, I see a lot of you guys are saying you want Kaysar to win.
Yeah.
I would love to see Kaysar win, but at the same time, I don't want him to like get a huge target on his back again. I feel like this could be a chance for him to slide under the radar with the right person winning HOH. I don't know. But let me know what you guys think. And in the meantime, I would like to thank all of our super chatters today. Yay! So thank you so much to Jody Cortez.
And that's why you're not allowed.
Oh, relax, baby boy. Thank you so much, Jody. Thank you so much to Brant Phillips and Jefferson Tucker. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Is this McKinley Noel? Thank you so much. AR Chan 1785. Thank you so much.
Read the little note for about the hurricane?
No. Oh, I'm sorry. Brant said prayers for everyone affected by Hurricane Laura. Absolutely, yes.
Bowie agrees.
Yes. Bowie! I want to thank Candy so much. Thank you, Candy. Ed M, thank you so much. Jared Harper, thank you so much again. Pens fan, thank you so much. Mr. Roybot, thank you so much. Anita Star, all the time, thank you so much. Patty Kitten Guru, woo! Thank you so much. And Jim Miller, thank you so much. You guys are so awesome. Yes, Bowie wants Kaysar to win. That's what it sounds like.
Bowie is our little Kaysar, and
Lucy is Janelle. Yeah, we've been saying that. So I will see you guys all later for the recap. Let's all keep our fingers crossed for a good HOH winner, and I'll see you all until next time. And thank you again all so much. Yay!
Thanks, guys.
Until next time, much love.
You are very bad.